Hey, this is an example for teams on how to set up assets for a project. So we've already set up a project. Now we're going to sort of set up some assets for a project in the Teams app, Android app. So we'll get straight to it. There's a couple of ways you can do this. The first way is basically you can use enter the information and use the GPS coordinate system to actually identify the location of where the asset is. So we'll just get straight into it. So first of all, we're in the actual projects window. We've selected the project. We're going to choose the assets for the project. So I've now selected that, and we're going to start by selecting plus sign for a new asset. Okay, first thing that actually comes up, as you can see, is the asset ID. So in a lot of cases, whether you're working for private or government or commercial sort of sector, some of the assets that you're going to be sort of like picking up and the issues might actually have a particular ID number, in which case you'd enter these in. And as I showed before in the setup of the project, you can use on a tablet, Android, you can use either the stylus pen, or you can actually use the QWERTY keyboard to set it up. So we're just going to enter in an asset ID. So using the stylus pen, I'm just going to call it asset 01. Let's come up to sort of 7. Do that a bit better. 1. Okay. The asset name. Okay, we're going to pick up a concrete curb. So it's a curb. Asset description, so we're going to describe what the asset actually is, so we can describe it. So it's a concrete type 1 type 1 curb. Okay. Now, here's where it actually varies. You've got a couple of choices on how you can pick up the asset location. So in this particular instance, first of all, we're going to make sure that we've got our GPS actually on. So yep, we've got the GPS actually on. Then we're basically going to go to where the asset is located, and we're going to choose the GPS locator. You can see here we're doing this in Australia, so Australia comes up. We're going to pick the GPS finder, and that's found it, and we can zoom in there. The town of Innisfail in Bundas Street. So this will actually adjust a bit as it gets closer and closer and hones in, so you can see that it's pretty close. And if you want to, we can actually choose this map button to give you a satellite image, which will give us a very good indication of where we are. Now it's just a case of tagging the sort of like that dot to choose the actual location of where the asset is. So I'm going to tag. You can see there the tags actually appeared. I click on finish, and you can see there that it's picked the location, and it's also giving me an eastern and northern coordinates. So now I can move on to the next step. So asset level. This is a field that you can basically enter in, and you can use this identify the asset level, and that asset level might actually be whether it's a high priority asset or a low priority asset, or you could choose the level to select to signify whether it's a level 1, 2 or 3. So really you can just adjust it and enter in whatever you want. So we're going to sort of say that it's a low priority asset. Category, well, we might identify, because it's part of the curve, we might identify the category is under the road network. And we've got a couple of reference fields here, so we can enter in there whatever we want, and you might choose that. So one of these reference fields, when the data actually comes across using the Teams Sync and the database software package, that you can actually use any of these fields to actually sort of filter and categorize data with. So it's really up to your own imagination how you use it. Comments, so we can write some comments in there about the data. So we can sort of say it's a broken curb. Okay, got some other extra fields there, got 4 extra fields in. You can enter in whatever you want. You don't have to enter all the fields in, you can just, however much you actually want to use. The only stipulations that we do have is that when entering an asset, it needs to have an ID, needs to have a name, and so it needs to have a location. So that's how you actually enter in an asset using the GPS code. Well, we've just created a asset curb, as I showed you before, and we're using the GPS location option that we've actually got. Just note that with all these screens, that basically you've got the bin here, which is basically enables you to delete the information, or you've got the pencil here, which I can select that, and that enables you to go back actually into the fields and actually edit. So you can not only edit location, but you could edit the description and change it to whatever you want. And then when you're finished, it's just a case of clicking finish, and then you're back to that screen. So when you select the main screen now, it's now actually asking us to actually enter in the inspection. So we've entered a project, we've now entered an asset, and now the next level down is inspection, because obviously you can have a number of inspections per asset. So we're going to enter in one asset, inspection for this asset, choose the plus. Okay, so it's come up there with some default options, so it automatically defaults to the current date for the inspection date. There's my name actually in there for inspected by, and comments. So we can write down, so we might choose that this is an actual road audit inspection. And we call done. So now we're sort of like so then again, because of these fields and what I was saying before, we can actually categorize and filter. I can bring up all the inspections that relate to road audits, and they'll all come up across all assets. So we've called it a road audit inspection for this asset. Click finish, and it's now recorded. Again, as always, as I said, you can go and you can delete the inspection, or you can go back and edit it just simply by clicking on the bin or the pencil. Or if we're happy with it, we then move into the final stage, which is basically selecting photos for the inspection. So the photos for this particular inspection, we just click on photos for inspection, click new. Okay, again, there's a number of fields that you can actually fill in here. It's really just a case of how much information you actually you want to put in. Don't feel obliged that you have to fill them all in. The only applicable default fields that you need to fill in is basically a photo description, and a photo comments, and that is it. You don't even have to take a photo if you don't want to. There's also a number of ways that we can actually record the information. You can not only take a photo of the particular issue for that inspection for that asset, but you could even draw a picture and actually and then record that picture for the issue for that inspection for that asset. So we're going to start off and just by using the first option, which is to actually record a photo. So we're going to record just a photo description of what the photo is. So we're going to sort of say that it's a broken curb. We're recording that. Now you've got an additional location. So we've identified the location of the actual asset, and the location of the asset might be an actual sort of chainage or a segment of a road, or it could be a level actually in a building. It could be a number of of different things. But then when we're actually taking the photo, we want to be a bit more specific of what that photo actually is. So with the two location fields here, we can identify that as far as the change is concerned, it's actually on the left hand side of the road. We put left hand side, and then we might even sort of say that, for sense sake, it's at sort of like a chainage 2451.32. Okay, so now we've recorded the sort of like some additional location information. We can also record some information relating to the actual photo. So we can write in there what shows crack in the curb. Okay, right. Now we start to move into sort of like to some of the sort of like the details, so that Teams enables us to record not only conditional information about a particular issue, but also do a risk assessment. So all ratings are for condition and damage ratings are 1 to 10. So for instance, 1 being obviously sort of like in brand new condition, 10 being in highly dilapidated or destroyed condition. So for condition, we're going to sort of say that it's perhaps a sort of like a level 5. Damage level might be a 3. Again, with all these, it's important that when your team is briefed to actually go out and use Teams, that they're aware of sort of like, of the parameters when they're filling out this information, so that it's consistent. Okay, risk consequence. So, okay, we can identify it either as insignificant, minor, moderate, major, or catastrophic. So we're going to make this is pretty insignificant. It's just a crack actually in the curb. The likelihood that it's going to sort of like to fail or get into a worse condition, we're going to sort of say that it's possible. So again, we can identify that. And if you have a look, also sort of like over on this question mark here for the risk consequence, if you tap on that, it'll actually bring the screen up. And in here we can identify, and you can actually edit and customize as to what is considered for the risk consequence and what is considered for the probability on your risk matrix. So we'll just jump back to where we were. Okay, action required. So we're going to sort of say no action is to be taken at this time. Now we're down to the final section, which is to take the photo. Now, in this particular option, we're going to choose the little sort, the camera icon that you can sort of see here, and that's going to open up the photo screen, as you can sort of see, and then it's just a case of choose the camera. It's taken the photo, we save it, scroll it up, make sure that it's clear and we can see it. Yeah, we're happy with that. Finish. Now that photo is now recorded for that particular issue. So now we're going to actually record the same issue for the asset called curb. But rather than sort of take a photo as we've done here with the first instance, we're going to use a sort of sketch to show the information that we want. So same sort of principle. So again, we're under that same inspection. We're going to create a new photo for inspection. We record it. So this time it's actually going to be a sketch of curb. Location, as we said before, is on the left hand side, and there we can put sort of like chainage. We can write whatever chainage information that we actually sort of want there. Photo comments, it's a broken section of curb. We fill in the condition ratings. We said 5 and I think we had 3. Risk consequence is, I think we sort of said was insignificant. The probability was possible. Action required, no action. So we're recording the same information, but now here's where the change comes in. So rather than using this like the camera, we're now going to draw a picture. How we do that is if we jump back actually over here, there's a free app which is called Autodesk. You can use any of them. You could use Samsung, so like Sketchbook. You could use the Autodesk one, which I actually think works quite well for doing sketches actually out in the field. There's a number of them. They're all compatible. And the way Teams actually sort of works is that when you've done your sketch and you're choosing the actual option to bring in a picture, it'll bring up all the actual app options you actually have downloaded on your app device, and you can just choose that, and it's basically just selecting the image from your gallery. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to draw the sort of the curb. So we've got a curb unit there. There's a sort of the bitumen that runs along there. That's just a section through the curb, and then you're going to note there that there's a bit of a crack in the curb, and there's a bit of a sort of like a chip there as well, so we can sort of say there's a chip. You can write notes and however you want to do it. So then we save the sketch. That's recorded. Now we can jump back actually into Teams, and we select here. See what I mean? So there's the sketch facilities that I've actually got on my app. So we can choose the image from Auto Sketchbook, because that's what we used. We select that particular picture, and there it is. And now that's actually sort of recorded. In some cases, what I've actually sort of do in the past is I actually even grab plans and import those plans actually into the Android device, and then I actually mark up the plans with the issues that I actually sort of want. So it's a very, very sort of powerful way of actually recording the issues. Okay, the final way that we can actually sort of use photos is actually marking up a photo. So we'll start a new photo for inspection. For the same inspection under the same asset for the curb. So again, this time we're going to sort of call this mark up photo. Location, left hand side, chainage for the locations. Again, you don't need to fill these actually select out. We can fix that up. We could just, as long as we've got sort of like a photo description and we've got sort of like a photo comments, then that's all we need. So comments, again, I think I had no action, so it's the same one. Again, we choose the condition rating of 5. I think the damage rating we said was 3. Risk consequence was insignificant. The likelihood was possible. Action was no action. But this time, rather than take a photo, rather than draw a sketch, we're actually going to choose a photo. So what I actually did is I just used a photo editor. I took a photo, marked up the actual photo, saved it into the gallery. Once it's saved into the gallery, you can it's recorded there, so you can see I've got some other things that you saw recorded here on previous jobs where I've marked up plans. I've taken photos of various things. You can see there's a mark up there of a note that I've actually put on a plan, some sort of like some notes. And so we'll just choose this one. That's now recorded, and there we have it. So so now what I'll do is I'll exit back actually out, and we'll set up an asset using the alternative method where Basically, if the asset's actually inside a building, obviously the GPS locator is not much use to you. You might choose to actually record an asset as being an entire floor or a section actually on the floor, in which case what you want to be able to do is mark up a plan and actually put your tag to identify where actually on that plan is the asset you're referring to. So we'll do that next. So we'll just finish this off for the time being, and I'll talk to you soon. This is the next section of the instruction for the second way to set up an asset. I've just come back to the first projects and setting up the actual projects, because when I recorded the first one I didn't have any voiceover, so I might just quickly just run through there just to show you some of the features when you're actually setting up a project. So here we're seeing that we're at the project level. You can see where I've actually got the project is set up, and I'll just go into edit. So we're using the pencil actually here, and as I said before, we can actually make adjustments and actually edit. So I've just made an edit there. So we put in the project name, project number. You can see here is obviously most projects will have a project number, project description. You can see there, put in the date, put in the location. That's just a general area location, so whether it's you put in a city or a town where that project's actually happening. Client name, client address, client contact, client phone number. You can put in the client email, and then we have down here we have a photo storage path. Just wanted to explain this. Now the photo storage path is essentially that actually sets where the photos and the team's data information will actually sit on your app device. It's not really critical. You can leave it blank and it'll default to a default folder. The Team Sync package which comes through, which I'll explain in another video, will find it. It'll find it anywhere it's located. You don't have to designate where it actually sits on the device. I tend to try and be a little bit organized, so I've got a what I call a projects directory down here, and I put all my projects actually under that, and then everything's in the one spot. Anyway, that's entirely actually up to the user. So we'll just click finish there. So the team's name is now actually updated. I can now click on that particular project. I then come down to the assets. Here's the first asset. You recall from an earlier video, that's where we actually located the asset using the GPS locator. Now we're actually going to use a different method to actually record an asset where you don't use a GPS locator, but you can either record using a sketch or a plan that you've actually imported to actually record where the actual asset is. And that's very, very handy when you're obviously doing inspections inside a building or a house or a warehouse or some a plant structure. I actually use that quite a lot when I'm actually doing inspections for say mining clients or for industrial clients or commercial clients, and it works really well. Anyway, we'll get stuck into it. So again, we're going to choose a new asset, so we'll hit the plus sign. The asset ID here, we're just going to we're going to call that we're going to call that Center 01. You know, sometimes it's the stylus pen actually gets a little bit confused between what's a 1 and what's a 7. You just got to take a little bit of time, but it's recorded it there. The asset name is obviously if you get if you're having trouble, you can actually use the QWERTY keyboard. I like the stylus pen because you can write fairly quickly. So there we go, Center Plant. And asset description, so we might describe what it is. So for instance, it might be a a steel frame structure with gantry crane. So describe what the asset actually is. Okay, so rather than actually choosing the GPS locator, which is the button, we're actually going to choose the paperclip here. With the paperclip, we can then sort of like we open up a screen and we can actually sort of like choose a plant. So you can see here that I've obviously got some PDF drawings that I've actually imported into the app. It's a very easy process, and I often settle these actually up before I go out on site, so that I spend the minimum amount of time on site filling the detail actually in. So okay, we're going to sort of like choose. So for instance, we might choose sort of like this plant actually sort of like here, and we sort of like we just tap that up. So here we've got a plant. We've got this PDF represents levels 1, 2, and 3. And for instance, you've got some grids A, B, and C, and we've got some other sort of grids actually along here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's just say that we've chosen this, and it's going to be on level 2, which is this particular level here. And for instance, for the sake in the grid sort of section for the asset we're going to inspect, we're actually going to tag right there. So we just tag that, and the tag actually appears, and now that's actually recorded. So when that, and with the Team Sync, when all these images come across under the asset data, will actually be an asset location image, which will actually have that image with the tag actually on it. So it's in your reports, it's easily identifiable of what asset location we're talking about. You obviously don't have an eastern and northern because you're not using the GPS, so they are left blank. Same fields as before. You've got asset level, category, so level might be the level of priority, or it could be the level of sort of like a value, or whatever. It's a customized sort of field, so you can adopt it how you want, and you don't have to fill that actually out. As I sort of said before, when you're setting up a project, you only need to have an asset ID, a asset sort of like name, and that's all you need to sort of like to complete. You don't even have to put the asset location actually in there. They're the only compulsory fields. So under level, we might sort of say it's a critical asset. We might, for the category, we might sort of say that it's sort of like it's part of the processing functionality of the plant. So we'll put it under that. We've got a couple of references there. We won't bother filling that out. We can write any comments else in there as far as the asset or not, and you've got some extra fields here to fill out. So we're happy with what we filled in. We click finish, and then we actually have it's recorded there. It's interesting to note when we actually go back to the curb, as you know, so we've now taken 3 photos 3 different ways, and they're actually, when you actually look at the asset, they're actually recorded. So we've got the date that the inspection refers to, which is the inspection number 1, and there's 3 photos actually on that inspection. So as you actually progress down through these layers, the layers that are actually below it actually recording the summary information actually up here, so you can have a quick snapshot. So we obviously don't have an inspection or photo here for the cinder plant because we've only just set it up. So we'll now set up inspection for the asset. Defaults again to like to today's date, my name, and we'll call this a sort of like a structural audit. And we might even put in there that it's visual. So obviously, if you happen to be doing an actual testing audit where we were either testing paint thickness, or we might have been testing concrete hardness, or we might have been even doing an electrical audit and testing sort of like some electrical readings, you can use the actual customized fields to record that information actually under there, and you'd obviously just stipulate what the actual inspection involves right here. Okay, so we've finished that. So you can see there that the inspection is now recorded that sort of date there. We'll now go into photos for inspection. Similar sort of things like we filled out before, so we might sort of say here we're talking about sort of like, you know, slab. That's the description of what we're going to take a photo of. Its location actually so like is on the level 2, near a wall. You know, we might put a grid reference there. It might be grid 2E. We've got another detail, so we might actually there's another level of information that we can put, or you can leave. Photo comments, might be a crack in the slab. You can put a condition rating on that. might be a bad crack, might be severe damage, might actually sort of be a moderate risk. It could be sort of likely, action required. We can stipulate that it needs to be repaired, and we can write as much information or as little information as we actually want as far as the action. As far as the photo, we can then take a photo of it, or we can draw a sketch of it, or we can actually mark up a photo, so exactly the same as we did before. So for this particular instance, because we've covered those things before, we're just going to take a photo. So I'm going to click on here. See the crack there. Take the photo. Yep, I'm happy with that photo. Yep, that's come out well, and finish. And it's all recorded. So now once we've actually sort of done that, we can now go back to the home screen, and we're ready to go to the next stage, which is basically synchronizing and bringing all the information across.